4 teams left here to play today, and 2 maps, just 2 maps, as we will have a tiebreaker situation between 2 teams and then a tiebreaker situation between another 2 to determine the first match, at least, who is going to be taking 2nd and 3rd place, and our last tiebreaker of the day will determine who goes home. It's a big deal here now as we have 2 more maps remaining. I'm joined by Gilly, Dread, and Fan to start things off. We will be playing Dignitas going up against L5, and this is the one to find out who goes into the upper bracket in the playoffs and who goes down to the lower bracket. So effectively, they're fighting for who gets 2 lives and who has 1 life. It's a very heated moment, Gilly.
Somewhat of a rematch, too, for L5, that they're able to get some vindication over losing 0-2 to Team Dignitas in the group stages. And now L5 has had some more time to figure out the meta, which we know was a concern for the Korean teams.
And I think that's why this tiebreaker is actually really, really important.
Yes.
Looking at the rise of the Korean teams, L5 has been a little bit slower than MVP Black. So if they fail to make it to the winner's bracket into the next stage, that means that they do not have any breathing room to figure out the meta. They have to show everything, they have to play everything, and MVP Black is in a much better position for that, being successful in the next phase.
I mean, I would argue they have to do it now.
Yeah,
if
they
they
do.
want themselves 2 lives. Of course, there has been a lot of time before we saw L5 going up against Dignitas. I say a lot of time, but in relative terms to the group, they've had a few days to mull over their losses here of L5 and approach Team Dignitas here in this game. So does that change things here for L5?
You know, we're gonna have to see whether or not that does. The first Dignitas versus L5 series, it brought up a lot of questions because in game 1, L5 was dominating and people were saying that they threw a lead that they should never have thrown.
Right.
And then in game 2, they did look a little bit rattled from that game 1. So it's a new day. Both teams have had time to recover, and we're gonna find out once and for all who really should have been on top.
Now, because it is a best-of-1 situation here in these tiebreakers, I need to explain to you how the map is selected. So Blizzard has a prioritized list of maps based on how frequently the maps were played during the HGC Phase 1. Thus, the one that was played most is right at the top, and the ones that were played least is right at the bottom. In their initial encounter between Dignitas and L5, they banned 2 maps and they picked 2 maps. Those 4 maps are eliminated as I attack my book. And then from that point on, we go from the top to bottom, and anyone that doesn't correspond to those previous 4 maps is instantly selected. Thus, for this map, we have settled on Towers of Doom between Dignitas and L5.
Yeah, you're essentially banning out the same ones. That was perfectly done, by the way.
Apart from the
Golf
book
clap
bit.
for Caleris, please. Essentially banning the same bans, and then if it were a best-of-3 situation, what would the 3rd battleground be? And in this case, Towers of Doom.
Yeah, some crazy stuff. So let's talk about our first team, of course, here, going into this map. Team Dignitas. We heard from Bakery, even just during one of the interview segments, that it's actually one of their favorite maps. So surely there must be a little bit of comfort here on Towers of Doom, Dread.
I mean, yeah, if they genuinely view that as one of their favorite maps, they have to feel comfortable with it. A lot of it, for me, if I'm looking at Team Dignitas, I feel like my perspective has to be that I truly feel like last time I played against L5 that was the greatest form, that they haven't gotten better, and just lied to myself essentially and be like, this is going to be as easy as it was last time, because like you said, the series was so tense, and I feel like L5 has only gotten better since they last faced.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at what L5 did against Tempo Storm in their match on Towers of Doom, I would have to favor the map towards Dignitas if it is one of their favorite maps. You know, L5 looked a bit shaky on it. They were going for some 5 versus 5 team fights against a team that wins 5 versus 5 team fights. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do against Dignitas. I believe Dignitas, their execution is very, very clean, and they also understand what they're drafting. So
I think Abathur and Dahaka might play a big factor here on Towers of Doom.
I'd be surprised if Abathur makes it past the first pick and then 1-2. If it somehow made it past that, I would be very, very surprised. I'm probably first pick, first ban level.
Let's take a look at L5 now, going into this tiebreaker, as they've had a rocky road, to say the least, and Dignitas was no exception to that.
L5's history on Towers of Doom should hopefully make them feel at least comfortable here. It's a battleground that they play quite a lot, and it was a pivotal map for them when they were playing MVP Black in the HGC Korea Part 2. It was map number 3. They were down 1 and 2, and they were able to secure a comeback, and from there pick Braxis and Warhead in reverse order. So they do still feel comfortable here, although it was a battleground that favored MVP Black. But like you said, Claris, L5 have had a shaky time, not at all the dominant team that we have expected. But that even sort of goes back to them losing the Eastern Clash to MVP Black twice, too. So they've just not quite been at the same level as 2016 L5.
Both games against Dignitas just before, they were able to get Genji Malfurion instantly in their drafts. And then from there, they were not that successful. Of course, it's Towers of Doom. It's a different map, but one thing's for sure is they really, really wanted that Genji going into that. Do they think, I guess it's for them, it's just, they know it's a playmaking hero. They know that they can put a lot of weight on the Genji's shoulders and try and advance forwards with it.
Yeah, and they can. And like when we saw in the last series, oh, wait a minute here. We got the draft. I'm ready for this.
All right, let's get into it. Draft number 1. There is only one here. This will determine who is second and who is third going in to the playoffs from Group A.
So I expect, oh man, see, so it's going to get banned out, but that does leave the advantage of the Dahaka opportunity over to L5. Whether or not they want that or the Genji, it's going to be a tough one. I personally think I would like to see them move with the Dahaka.
I would too. Jung-ha, it's such a good hero for him anyway. And then you have the global advantage on Towers of Doom, a large battleground, and a battleground where you can stall objectives pretty easily.
I think it's important to point out once again that up until this point in time in the group stages, potentially hiding things could have been a thing, couldn't have been a thing. Here in this tiebreaker, when you're looking for 2 lives or 1 life, I think it's go all out, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And we see the Dahaka first pick here. That leaves Dignitas to get their Nubrak Malfurion. Favorite combo for those two, for Team Dignitas, if they still want it.
I think they'll drop the Malf. Maybe not. I think it'll say a lot about Dignitas if they do end up dropping the Malfurion. We know them to be insanely high in the prioritization and fear of the support choke, and this would be the appropriate time to pick it up. But I think at this point, the meta is so action-packed, high-paced, and fast-moving that I can see Dignitas moving just like more with the Anub'arak, more with the Genji focus in this rotation.
One thing I also like about the Dahaka for L5 is L5 has still been holding on to their Ragnaros, and I think they're starting to realize that it may be time to let him go.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I really hope so.
Occasionally we'd see somebody else play Ragnaros for both the Korean teams here if their primary player would play something else. But in this instance, that's what I'm hoping for and seeing that. Also, maybe also going to give up their Nazebo that they played versus Dig last time around.
I would be a bit more fearful of that rotation for Dignitas if the Malfurion, or if I knew L5 had a very intimidating Medivh player. I think the Dahaka, the Dahaka, Medivh, and Malfurion synergy that can happen on maps like this, the chaos, the mobility that it can provide, is something that can be very difficult to deal with. But I don't know if I am afraid of that play coming from L5 as much as I would be from some of the other teams.
I mean, Dignitas did beat them with Karazim. Dignitas feels still, as much as Malfurion is very much so one of the absolute go-to picks, they didn't feel like they had to go down that path very early. I mean, I suppose it was kind of locked out for them in some of those games, but they didn't go for it super fast.
Yeah. So where do you think they're going to go, Fan?
Well, Malfurion is still up, so and they take it with the Tyrael. It's a pretty good pick for the map, I think. Take the last invulnerability available, and the Malfurion just very solid. You know, if you're not taking the Genji, you would have took it there, but since they let it through, it just goes to the other team. See a Tassadar ban being hovered by Dignitas here. I like that. Tassadar Malfurion in particular is basically impossible to outsustain, so it kind of removes the threat of the Tassadar Tracer and some of the other Tassadar combinations.
I think I heard a sigh there once.
I did too. Oh.
I guess L5 were hoping for some kind of TAS shenanigans there.
There's nothing left for Dignitas to respond to the global pressure, though, on the side of L5. Like Genji, the mobility is the only thing that might be able to track them, but not dominate into the wave clear department. I automatically lean towards a lot of what L5 has in their comp. It's extremely generic, everything that they have, but it also can go in a lot of different directions. Whereas I feel like Dignitas, with how this map is played out, unless they're comfortable moving into a Zagara, which I'm just going to say I don't think that they are, there's not any global, macro, reasonable play left for them to be able to deal with.
I think the Falstad is somewhat reasonable here. You have the Genji already denied. They have last picks, that's the thing. So if these next two picks from L5 aren't something scary like Zeratul, Illidan's denied as well, you know, there might not be enough threats to Falstad to justify one of the last picks. And we haven't seen it really much, or not much at all, but I have a feeling we might see it on this battleground all of a sudden.
Do they have to be concerned about potentially picking up Greymane here?
Or Li Ming. Dig already have a new Barak, so that's not a problem. There is a double warrior on the other side, but Mene's been playing a lot of Li Ming. She's been doing pretty well here too, and it's Towers of Doom, so she has a lot of control over the objectives.
Yeah, I think they're debating between the Li Ming, the Greymane, or the Falstad. It's less likely they're going with the Falstad now that such strong power picks are available for Team Dignitas.
I really hope it's not Greymane.
I hope it's not Greymane.
He has been so lackluster in this tournament, even with Tyraels and such. He has, I mean, he's a good hero. I feel like I would rather the Li Ming. If I have the opportunity between two resetters, I would take the Li Ming over the Greymane. It just feels a bit safer. They disagree. Double warrior, they're going to probably go more with the Curse Bullet Peel, but it just feels not nearly as impactful in this tournament as for the priority level. You know, we've seen him slowly descending because he's just getting wrecked.
Yeah, so this is the one pick order where I might take back what I said here. I think if they did go with the Li Ming, there was a good chance that L5 would have responded with the Greymane plus the Falstad, but now not so much because Nacho can get his Li Ming now if he wants. It's a pretty strong pick. I
mean, the thing is, though, is that if you don't take the Greymane there as Team Dignitas, then you've got Greymane Tyrael you're facing up against.
That's true. It's as much a deny as a good comfort pick for them, potentially. Although I think this will be an instance where we have to see a flex of Mene playing Greymane because of the Genji pickup, unless... Have we seen Xaylia play Genji yet?
I mean, he
Not
can.
that I remember.
But, yeah, but as I say, it's not common.
Yeah. Usually they like that, having that double front line.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, Nacho with the Li Ming there, and they're just going to go the Tracer anyways. Interesting.
Blind Tracer, man.
I don't like that one. I think Tracer into Genji without a Tassadar, it's a miserable matchup, but we'll have to see what I think SESC can do on that one.
They've got to have confidence in it if it's their tiebreaker match. What are we expecting for the last? Just some more frontline?
Not Arthas. Yeah, definitely some more frontline. I hope it's not an Arthas coming out from Dig. I'm trying to figure out, I can't figure out off the top of my head the top liner I'd like them to have.
I want Zeratul. I think Zeratul is such a good pick here. Just crush them. Like, Zeratul against the Naked Tracer is great.
And and with the prep of the double reset, like explosion directly after, you're right, it's really good in all ways. It's just whether or not Dignitas is comfortable, you know, dropping away from that heavy health bar compositions that have kind of dominated the world for the past couple of months.
Yeah, they could default back to double warrior.
Like their Leo? Nope. Or
Arthas.
That was not.
Sorry, Dread.
Oh, I think the Zeratul pick there was such a good opportunity. But
What are you thinking, Dread?
If that was not an Arthas, I really feel like Dig would have had high impact. Standard Dig, when you don't know, drop the Arthas on the back half of the draft. Hope that you can use the utility, the damage output that he has. He's generically a good secondary warrior in every comp, which is why they always drop back to it. But I just feel like you have no global to be able to match the Dahaka on the other side of the table. The Tyrael is a soft counter in every way, shape, and form to direct team fights into Tyrael. You have Li Ming and Tracer. Like I really dislike the Tracer on the same side of Fan, but that Arthas is going to be so lackluster that I almost feel like it's going to be better than the Tracer, and I'm like L5.
I mean, I would argue, but even way back when it was Alex the Pro G, they have been the most prolific team with the secondary warrior of Arthas constantly been throughout their meta. So if anybody can execute it, probably Dignitas, right?
Yes. If anybody can execute it, it would be them.
All right, we've got to go for predictions. Gilly, starting with you.
It's really hard to choose, but I'm leaning toward L5. They have their Dahaka Global. I think it's going to be them.
Dreadnought.
I think I'm maybe be making a bigger deal out of the Arthas than people at home and their perspective would be onto it, but I still think it is a pretty big setback on what could have been a very high impact pick for Dignitas, and it's enough for me to lean towards L5.
And finally, Fan.
I think they picked Arthas maybe to lane against the Dahaka. I see the value in that, but yeah, I'm going to go with L5 this time as well.
Across the board, let's check in with chat as well, as they will be predicting over as they watch the stream. And it is 60-40 in favor of Team Dignitas here. So high octane and tense moment about to occur here between Team Dignitas and L5. The winner will take second spot and get 2 lives in the playoffs. The loser will only have 1. It's time now to go over to the commentary team.
Welcome in to Dignitas versus L5. Caldor, this is the difference between not only second and third, but upper bracket and lower bracket.
And the teams have already been bantering quite a lot in the chat earlier about who has the better chances in the lower bracket here. But as we start the game, our tiebreaker to the left, we have Team Dignitas in blue with JPL on Anubarak, Genji played by Snitch, Gray, Mena, Bakery on Karazim, and Zelia on Arthas.
And on the right side, in red, representing the Korean region, will be L5 with Jangha on Dahaka, Noblesse on Tyrael, Swoy on Malfurion, Nacho Jen on Li Ming, and SC on his favorite hero, Tracer.
This is going to be a pretty rough game for both of these teams because there is so much on the line. You've been duking it out for days now, and you find yourself down to a single map that is going to decide whether you find yourself in the winner or the loser bracket.
Take a look at the way Dignitas just walks to the middle of the map and dares them to team fight. They just walk right up as they put the pressure on to Noblesse. He's going to walk away, at least for the moment.
Yeah, Zelia in the same boat here, actually. He gets the tongue, and then all of a sudden the Malfurion follow-up locks him into place. So Arthur's losing a lot of hit points, but able to walk away here. And this is going to be an explosive one. We have a Tracer going up against Genji. We saw the matchup before at the tournament here, but not without the second healer. So Tracer has to be extremely careful in these situations.
I'm with you on that one. I can't wait to see this. It's the battle of SC and Snitch, and it's a battle of 2 highly skilled heroes. We're going to see how it plays out as the rotations from Dignitas seem to be mid and bottom right now.
At this point, we're having to the top lane, Arthas, he's taking position against the Haka, and to the bot lane, it's that Greymane. Currently helped out here, Jonga at the top. Snitch and Zelia trying to put some pressure on, but Swoy starts the rotation, and the rest of L5 is also on the move. Arthas in trouble.
Yeah, Arthas, the pulse bomb on top of him. They're staying on there. Zelia, though, is going to be able to walk away, get behind the wall. Bakery coming to support, but not before Arthas heading to Hearth back.
Yeah, so both of them actually escaping here, and that looked for a moment like a very dire situation for Arthas in particular. L5 with a quick rotation to the top, very mobile on the map right now, trying to trap someone on the side of the European team to get the first blood.
You talk about mobile, and he is one of the least mobile heroes in this game, and you look over at L5, and they are a hyper-mobile team. So we'll see how that plays out as our first altar phase will be here in 20 seconds, but Dignitas making a play on the bottom sapper camp.
Now with a triple altar, we of course still have at least Genji with his agile dismount as the level 1 talent, one of the heroes that can cross spaces quite quickly, but it's nothing compared to what we have for L5 with the Haka in particular. The altar's activating in 3 more seconds, and this is the first and therefore a triple altar phase.
It's a really interesting approach right now. It seems like L5 put in a heavy focus on the bottom one while Dignitas starting to work their way up to the top. Snitch on Genji does allow for a lot of disrupt as we see the tongue miss there and an Uberat going in.
This is a 5 versus 2. They can't fight this for much longer, and already the damage on Noblesse, and Tyrael is down. That's the first blood in the game, and Dignitas is making a play for the second altar.
SC getting zoned out, but Jangha on the right trying to do the same, and that is a Tracer without that second. Oh my.
If that would be a level 7 Greymane with a couple of stacks, this Tracer would have died for sure. But L5, they still lose the third altar to the top right and therefore down to 32 points on their core. And the main reason why their rotation was a bit late was that we saw Team Dignitas time their own Zappa camp at the bot lane, so L5 took some extra time to take it down first before they started the rotation up to the top.
Yeah, a slight win when you come to the long-term game of this map, and we have reset in between altar phases, and Dignitas continuing to look for a follow-up and just misses the stun in the root onto Tracer.
We still have L5 in a really good spot when it comes to experience, though, and Li Ming has already taken position at the bot lane. Look how safe Nitrogen is also playing this. You need to make sure that you're not all of a sudden caught off guard, so he's the entire time on the mount after annihilating the wave, just staying a bit in the back to soak the rest of the experience. But the teams are starting to fight now over the Zebra camp to the bottom right.
There is one, and the way Dignitas is just pushing in with this double warrior composition is Dahaka left alone at the top to continue to soak, but this bottom lane is important.
This is actually a really interesting choice here now as well. L5 had the chance to go down with Dahaka and burrow in. They decided against it, but they get a lead in experience just a bit and pressure against the structures because of Dahaka pushing the top. Dignitas rotated Genji in, but he missed out on a few of the minions, and also, of course, the towers are drained and low in health. So there is the chance for Dahaka to push this in even further and then make sure that they get a lead through the exposure of the structures and maybe even a bell tower.
I think that's exactly what Dignitas recognized. That's a good point you made there. And we see the priority to go ahead and clear that up, and now they're going to rotate to the bottom. Even if it's a one-for-one trade, you got to lean over to Dignitas, taking the early control of this game and the pacing and in the control over the bell towers, obviously. So things looking good here, I think, for both teams, but definitely better for Dignitas right now.
Yeah, Dahaka would like to get another wave before he moves back down. The root, on the other hand, is on Tyrael, and he jumps out, is able to get away, but for how long, as Karazin is already high on his heels, trying to take Noblesse down. Dahaka still at that top lane, and L5 is giving the bell tower over to Dignitas.
Yeah, it's a one-for-one trade there. Not too bad, but again, it just seems outside of the Dahaka control in the top lane, Dignitas is controlling the map elsewhere, and you got to wonder, are they giving up too much this early? But so far, Dignitas a slight back. They're slightly back on the XP, but still looking good elsewhere.
I mean, you really see that Dahaka is playing a massive role. If you're using the global, you can start to outplay your opponent, and the pressure play up to the top lane is starting to really become very, very annoying over time. They are making the jump onto Zelia, and this is another big problem. If the Tong hits, and it does, this could be the kill as the root follow-up of Swoy is ready. Zelia stands no chance here, and Dignitas is finally moving in, but it might be too late.
Yeah, Noblesse, though, might be the sacrifice, but he will get out of there. And you got to think that Icebound Fortitude is going to be tough to keep him in roots, and we see Snitch trying to get the reset. Bakery going in on Noblesse, but the roots from Swoy are going to lock down Bakery. He might not be done yet, though.
Bakery low, tries to go in, does not get the kill, is attempting to dash out, but he is another victim, and this is not where it ends. Snitch is also in trouble, and SC goes in, the parting gift drops him hard as L5 increases their kill count to 3 versus 1. They have the level 10, and they are ruthlessly using it now against Greymane in the mid lane.
That drag right out of the disengage from Greymane, perfectly timed. Now we have L5 with a full level lead. They've regained control, and you got to think Dignitas might have overcommitted to that top lane.
It all started with Arthas being in a really bad spot since everyone from L5 moved in. The lack of mobility on the hero was definitely his downfall here, and Dignitas was hoping to get a counter kill, but they went in a bit too deep to make it happen. Genji joined the fight late, and at that time L5 was already dropping even more targets. Now it's 10 versus 10 though. The altar is still up, and Dignitas has a chance to make a play.
Yeah, they did a really good job at stalling that out with Snitch and Zelia. And now we see Noblesse flanking the backside. SCSC continuing to charge up that pulse bomb as he just pushes Dignitas away.
Mania using the opportunity to stack here, getting more cocktail stacks for his level 7 talent. Zelia with the army, popping Assault and starting to move in. Snitch still locked down into a battle against Tracer as the fight unfolds with a great silence, but not good enough to save Malfurion.
Not good enough. Sanctification is down. The pulse bomb going on to JPL, but that is going to be Tracer falling. It is a 2-for-0 trade so far, and they are getting the slow onto Dahaka, who's trying to get away. But the stun and the roots are going to secure a 3-for-0 in favor of Dignitas.
Dignitas is popping off after the level 10 hits, and they are going to get the altar here. It looked rough for a moment after they lost 3 heroes at the top lane, but then once they secured their heroic ability, they turned a team fight completely around. And even the silence that we saw from Malfurion could not change anything here. Dignitas gaining a lot of momentum after that last fight, and L5 is down to 24 points on the court at this point.
You can see the early pressure from opening up that bottom lane is getting some more value out of these sapper camps, and slowly gaining control of this. We saw in the previous series that having control over that bottom lane when the altars spawn at the bottom, it's really good to have those. So we'll see how that plays out. Again, long-term strategies right now for Dignitas.
One of the things that L5 is still going for them is, of course, the lead-in experience, mainly because the Haka can always soak the side lanes. We saw Arthas doing the same thing, this time a bit more passive up at the top, but the army is definitely going to give him a lot of sustain during these fights. Go for the throw at 4 mana is going to help out to jump that backline, and L5 needs to really be careful how they approach team fights. It's all about the positioning here, especially on the side of Tyrael, who needs to hit that Sanct pretty hard once that we have Dignitas forcing the engage.
All heroics will be back up going into the next one, but a nice invade down here at the bottom, just trying to keep an eye on things, escorting the sappers again, trying to get control of the first bell tower. Good roots from Soy, gonna lock in the sappers, and those will be cleared up.
The question is always, how much do you really get out of these moves? Because L5 still has the Haka at the top, and this is going to be the theme of the game. That L5 tries to defend with 4 when Dignitas attempts to make a move, and as long as you don't get a target cocooned with a Nubarak and can force a fight outside of the range of the bell towers, L5 is going to get value out of the Haka soaking. They're starting to get more experience, and they really apply more and more pressure onto that bell tower, and it's eventually going to fall. But for now, we still have another fight down to the bottom of the map as both teams have level 13 talents and go in.
Oh, trying to go in on SC. And now we see Noble S dive into the back line so far, back and forth, but SC already at half health again. Without that Tassadar, without that supplemental support, seems to be taking a lot of early damage, but in comes Dahaka.
The Haka goes in, looking for the drag here. Mena jumping into the backline, maybe a little bit too deep as the drag hits him. Here comes Karazim on the other hand with the ult. The palm hits hard and is getting triggered as Seen is attempting to get away. Zelia with his own ult still alive as Dignitas is forcing L5 back.
Zhang is the first to fall. Pulse Bomb going to be on Mene. That is not a good target as he is very high on health. And now with that one member down, you got to wonder if L5 is willing to commit to this fight. Double roots though, Caldor.
The Korean team once again spoil trouble and he goes down as Snitch dives in deep for the kill with his Genji. Nacho Jin attempting to get a counter kill, but that's not happening. The altar already channeled. Dignitas has L5 down to 20 points on the court.
I don't think this was the aggressive exposure we would see as JPL going in, the roots as well. SC again at half health. Snitch joining the fight, trying to get onto that back line. The Shuriken's not hitting, but they are still looking to put pressure here.
SC moving back barely. Dignitas invading the camp and taking it away from their opponent. We still have L5 in an experience lead, but when it comes to the objective, when it comes to the kills, Dignitas is reigning supreme. Another one against Tyrael as the blue team moves into the bot lane.
This aggression as we have the cocoon. They've got another target trapped. We're going to see the roots are a little early, but Nacho Jin is going to fall. Caldor, things picking up here for Dignitas.
I'm a bit surprised that L5 even engaged as fast as they did into the altar fight at the bot lane. They had at the top the Haka and he was soaking more and more experience. They could have waited and just stalled it out a bit longer for him to take another wave down, which would have put additional pressure onto the bell tower. But they saw an opportunity and moved in with Zhongha, thought they could get the kill, and it looked for a moment as if they would be able to drop mana, but then the Palm of Bakery hits, and you could really see that L5 was attempting to wait it out, but then it still got triggered, and at that point it really started to turn against them.
This is a dangerous spot for L5. The bell tower has been captured on their side. You have Pumpkin Sappers, and we already have JPL going in. Misses the stun, misses the impale. But they do have more tools available to them, and it is also the triple altar phase here soon.
Great reaction time by SCSC though, the entire time. Doesn't matter if it's a Nubarok or if it's Arthas, he's always ready and moves out. He's playing a fantastic game on the Tracer, but the impact is not where they want it to be. They're moving in once again. Top lane pressured heavily as the Haka is going in. He took the camp as well. 16 talents are close for both of them, but more altars activating in just a few seconds, and it's another triple altar event.
Dahaka will be taking that top bell tower, I think, momentarily, and you got to wonder how quickly they're going to try and rotate to the top. It is 2 altars at the top. They're prioritizing the bottom one, and rightfully so, but you've got to have some type of priority on the top, and it looks like they're going to make the rotation up.
Shots fired at this point, 16 on both sides. And Tracer, I mean, SCSC is just playing You Can Touch This at this point. That is the song that is currently playing in his head because this guy is just absolutely all over the place. Dodging everything. Bakery with a channel and he gets it.
That just...
Unbelievable.
That should not happen, Keldor.
No.
That just should not happen. I mean, I guess the saving grace for L5, they did have more of the bell tower, so it was only 3 shots on each of those. And look at this, L5 is going to force a boss fight. They do have Holy Ground. Is Dignitas willing to fight on this?
They want to fight, and they saw Genji, but Genji's starting to move in. At this point, you can't let the boss go anymore. You have to commit, and that's what they're doing. They're going in. Here comes Tyrael, has the Holy Ground. They go in, they get the boss. Can they win the fight as well? Zelia moving in with the Army of the Dead, but Zhonga is already being attacked by an Uber, I guess. He goes in deep. Here comes the silent form of Furion.
And now all of a sudden, members are falling. It's a 1-for-1 trade so far. The Holy Ground is locking out Zelia, who will be the priority target. Palm is out. But that is going to be Arthas falling. The resets there for Li Ming, not able to catch up. A 2-for-1 trade in favor of L5.
Goes in and just says, bow to your Korean overlords. Jumps in, pops off, gets the double kill. Great play by L5 there. But missing out on all 3 altars is insane. They get the 5 bell towers. They get what they want, and then they are not able to interrupt Bakery on the channel. The top reclaimed, but we have the Korean team in the middle already.
You can see the Holy Ground right there by Tyrael, locking out Zelia, locking out Mene, and then, of course, keeping them in range for that Twilight Dream. Not too shabby there for L5. But I tell you what, this is starting to heat up despite the early advantages. This is Tower of Doom, Keldor. It's 28-10.
Towers of Doom is a map where you can always make a comeback, and that's what L5 is looking for. But losing those 10 points on the last altar phase, this is hurting them a lot. They're still 18 points behind Dignitas, but they have that lead of experience. We've been talking about this all game long. The Haka enables them to just get that side soak the entire match, and hitting the 20 is going to mean a lot for them, and Dignitas is not out of this yet. They are ahead, no doubt about it, but this game is still anyone's to grab.
Not a whole lot of reason for cleanse there on Kerosene at 16. We're seeing Way of the 100 Fists, so look for Bakery to be a little bit more aggressive as his team dives along. They do not, they did not get the interrupt. They have the cocoon. Will they follow up? I think they're just going to walk away from this.
Yeah, that was a very close call there. That was insane.
Oh, they're going to lose potential. I don't know if Li Ming can clear this up fast enough. Snitch is going to be there.
Yeah, Snitch is there. But 6 points against 24. L5, they want the 20. They want the 20, then they're going to look for the team fight, and they're going to try and snowball it hard. They need to win the fight decisively. If there's another boss, a boss and an altar at this point wins you the game. A boss and Zappas wins you the game. Altar and Zappas, the same thing. L5, they have the 20. In an ideal scenario for the Korean team, they force a big fight and win it by taking down at least 3 members.
Well, we saw the respect in the earlier rotations from Dignitas. They were not willing to even rotate through the middle, even when it was even numbers. They recognize they don't want to face the aggression of L5 or get picked off. I expect a lot more of that same cautious approach, at least for the next few minutes, taking down structures. Getting these minions cleared will help them close that gap to get to 20, hopefully before the next altar phase. But Keldor, they have such a huge lead that even if that comes up, they don't necessarily have to fight, especially right away.
Right now, they're just exchanging bell towers and trying to get, and Dignitas, of course, is attempt to get the 20. Changes survival for the Haka. We have Nexus Blades taken for Noblesse.
How do you see that?
L5 knows they have to go in on this. And up to the top lane, the Haka in position. They see, of course, that Inubarak is there as well. If the Haka can burrow down and maybe get a drag at some point, that would be the dream. But L5 is down to 6 points. Single altar on the map now. Dignitas can make a decision here. They could even let this one go. The Haka rotates in. Down here, fight not started yet. Zelia looking for a potential lockdown, but lets it go for now.
They now have 20, which means that this call here becomes a lot more interesting. If Dignitas loses the fight, now all of a sudden L5 can gain more control of the battleground because they already have 1 bell tower. If Dignitas wins, it could potentially be game.
Yeah, exactly. It should be game. If they win this one, they should be able to carry the momentum and win it eventually, but we're not there just yet. We have Dignitas with everything they need to do here. The Arca is moving in. Noblesse needs to be careful. Gets the stun, and Nubarak is going in. It's going deep on the Sanctification hits.
Sanctification is there. SC trying to put the pressure on the left side. Noblesse with the holy ground, the tongue onto a Nubarak as we see Bakery coming in for the heals. Noblesse getting very low right now, Kaldor.
Snitch is trying to hunt him down and together with the main, and Tyrael is dead. Tyrael Genji moves in. Snitch wants the kill. He's going for Nacho Jin, trying to take down another member of L5, but it's still a 5 versus 4 situation, and Dignitas retreating, not getting the second kill, but they don't have to. They get the channel. That's 3 additional points of the core of L5. They are down to the last 3 hit points.
Without Tyrael here, we're 15 seconds away from the boss. You got to wonder, will they make a boss play, or are they going to try and regain that battleground control? Right now, they find themselves 24-3 in the lead. A single altar can win them the game.
L5 goes for the boss. They have to eliminate it as a possibility for Dignitas. It's the only play they can make right now. Eliminate the boss as a potential for Dignitas to split on the map and just force them into a checkmate position. L5 gets the boss. Dignitas is completely willing to sacrifice it at this point. They are still 17 points ahead. They are looking for a kill. They're looking for a team fight. They have so much sustain in these fights, and especially with Bakery also picking up the Storm Shield, it's really rough for L5 to get a kill early on in the battle.
Well, both Sapper camps at the bottom, picked up here by Dignitas. They're going to look to put some pressure on this bottom bell tower. We'll see if we get the more roots clear from the side of L5. Good deflect there for Snitch, blocking some of that damage. This is a lot of Sappers going. SC getting hit by the initial stun. The roots are stopping the Sappers for now.
Yeah, here comes Nacho Jin, trying to eliminate as many as he can. Does a good job with that. Jongha moving in, nearly falling, but able to pop his ult and keeps himself alive here. Still, L5 looking for that fight, and Dignitas is taking this easy. They're playing this slow. They know exactly how far they are ahead. They just have to make sure to not throw here. Play it calm, play it safe, and really engage only into the 5 versus 5 situations that you deem to be favorable.
Kaldor, our next altar phase is going to be soon. I was going to say it's going to be soon. It's one altar at the bottom. You got to think of it as double altar top. Things look a little bit different. You got to wonder if Dignitas can clutch it out. Now, again, we find ourselves in that one true team fight moment. Losing one member early or one member at all, things can go really bad for you.
Winner bracket or loser bracket. This is what this map decides, and L5, they are down for the count. They are on the ground begging for help. Can they make this happen? Can they get this one last altar to keep themselves alive a little bit longer? Or will Dignitas move in and finish the game? Both of the teams angling for position around the altar.
Jongha is on there. The Holy Ground continuing to separate them. They do get the auto attack in. Noblesse on the backside. Jongha looking for the tongue. They get the stun down onto Tyrael. Noblesse getting very low, but he does. El Druin's out. But the follow by JPL is going to be on him. Sanctification already used.
Cocoon already on the ground. The Sank is being used. We have Maynard trying to jump into the backline. Doesn't get the chance just yet. Dragonblade is popped as Snitch is moving in. Noblesse still in trouble. Gets stunned once again. Snitch looking for an opportunity. He sees it. He gets it. He takes Tyrael down.
And now all of a sudden Ice Block is there, but Snitch continuing to do work. SC starting to follow him on the backside, getting very low, and all of a sudden Jongha is going to fall. 3 members down on the side of L5, and Dignitas has done it.
Snitch goes in and drops him. It is a team wipe as Team Dignitas claims victory and takes down L5 to advance to the winner bracket.
Unreal game. Kaldor, not just this game. Dignitas now 3-0 against L5 this week.
Dignitas looking absolutely fantastic in the game here, and they are definitely the nightmare of Korea at this point, at least when it comes to L5. And you can tell that the Koreans are really not happy with the result.
Not at all, and you can't expect them to be. The good thing is they'll be there at DreamHack Sweden in just a few days, so they'll still have a chance. But they will have a much tougher road to get there, and I think that's the biggest part about all this.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be much more difficult for them. Dignitas has the safety of ending up in the winner bracket here, and they played a fantastic game. The coordination on their part was absolutely great. They struggled once or twice with the Haka and his split soak that he brought to the table, especially when Arthas was taken out at the top. But outside of that situation, Dignitas just with a great game here.
I love what they did. I love the way that they played that game, but I know there's a few other people that want to talk about that, so we're going to hand it over to Caleres.
Just me, just me. A lot of people sat on the edge of their seats there as that tiebreaker did unfold. Dignitas with the victory on Towers of Doom. That was a crazy match that we had there. They established such an early advantage, but L5 with that Dahaka, with that constant pressure, constantly taking bell towers, trying to fight back in.
Yeah, Team Dignitas did a great job of holding on for the bottom lane for a long time, but the Dahaka was a problem, and once Dignitas lost a couple of people, I thought maybe the comeback could start to happen for L5, but Dignitas maintained and were able to use that early victory to carry on through, and it was quite a lead in the early game.
Was that a case of stubborn drafting? I mean, the traits are coming in at the very end. It had its moments, but they were few and far between.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before, you know. It's hard to be behind Tracer whenever she doesn't have somebody to kind of enable her. And she's not a terrible pick by any means, and I think that was a prime example. It just has to be extremely, like, precise in your initiations, how you dive the backline. You can't mess up. It's not nearly as forgiving as having that shield like when you have a Tassadar.
And obviously when they're in those desperate situations towards the end where they've only got 3 shots, Noblesse feeling like he has to go in super far to try and prevent situations, but he takes so much damage in doing that and has to pop Sank early.
Yeah, and that's how the game ended there because they had such a big shot, like HP advantage on the core. L5, they had to go in. There was no choice, even though going in was not optimal for them. They had to do it, and Dignitas crushed them. So that's what we're going to be looking at in the replay that I have here. So looking at the final fight here, one thing I would like to point out is JPL and how consistent he is at landing his stuns. He's always so deadly. You see one stun on the Tyrael there, and the damage immediately follows up. Another stun on the Tyrael, forces the Sanct. So here we have a bit of trading going on. L5 falls back to their fountain to tap, but Bakery channeling it. If he gets the channel, he wins. Noblesse has to go back in, and there at the critical moment, the stun that knocks up Sway. He was going for the Bolt Dream. That Bolt Dream play decided the entire game. If he hits it, maybe L5 can pull it back, but being knocked up right when you bolt into the middle of the enemy team, that's game over right there. So very well played by Dignitas.
Indeed, and we are joined by Mr. Bakery here. Firstly, congratulations. You've secured yourself 2nd place going into the playoffs from Group A. First thoughts, going into that game, Towers of Doom, going up against L5 again, what were your thoughts going in?
There was a running joke among our team of, I'm so sad we lost to Tempo because it means that we no longer have a day off. I'm going to have to come into the studio.
Okay.
And surprisingly, the match went really well, so we're pretty happy about it.
Guys, thoughts?
Just your guys' early game lead and that your opponents had the global pressure. I just want to know your guys' thought process going into the beginning half of that game, because you had a much, obviously, more successful 10 minutes. So just what is the thought process, and did you feel like you met your goals for the first couple of levels?
I don't think, like, we as a team were kind of odd in this way. We've never considered globals like the be-all and end-all of Towers of Doom. We've always felt like if you have the stronger fight and you play the macro game properly, it's never something you can't overcome, unlike a map like maybe Cursed Hollow or Dragonshire. And I think that game was kind of a textbook example of it. We knew that they had the global, but just by applying pressure and forcing them to have to decide, do we give up all this soak and come, or do we just let them have this stuff? Like, I think we just played it better, and it went as planned.
Fan?
So there was a moment on top side when you were in that Towers of Doom game where L5 pulled ahead. I believe you were diving someone as Monk. You and Genji were trying to get that kill. You went kind of far for him, and then they returned the kills and got up a level. Did you have any doubts about, how are you feeling in the game then? Because you kind of gave their global comp a level lead, which could snowball.
Yeah, that was obviously my bad. In the comms, we called, okay, guys, we don't need to look for any plays. We can just slow it down a bit. We know we can win every team fight when we have a comfort draft for us, and theirs was obviously slightly weaker with the Tracer. So we just said, like, let's slow it down. Let's refresh ourselves and then come at it again with a fresh approach.
And finally, you now go into the playoffs with 2 lives there. So It's got to mean a lot for you going up against some of the competition that we're going in. Who are you looking forward to playing most? Who are you fearing most? What's your feelings going into the playoffs?
I think our first game is against MVP Black, which for some teams that might be pretty scary, but for us, we've always wanted to play Black. That's been one of our goals throughout every single global competition. And yeah, I'm really excited for that. I think that game specifically is going to tell so much about how the rest of the tournament goes. And I really hope that we can put in the work and have a really good showing there.
All right, well, good luck in the playoffs, Bakery, and good luck to Dignitas as they take the tiebreaker 1-0. L5, of course, is going to be there as well, as we can check in with the groups. Actually, no, why do we need to check in with the groups? That's already done. I mean, we're going to do it anyway.